is DCarsonCPA, MFC on the lines. When we break out the whiteboards, this one's talking about your entertainment venue. I don't know if you're like us, but many people had a good experience of times when they've gone out and been a part of activity and things are going on. So they were part of the nightlife. Perhaps they went to live music venues. Perhaps they went to dance clubs. Perhaps they went to comedy clubs. All these sort of ventures are places where you might go. So we're thinking about your entertainment venture, thinking you may be at a point where you're interested in setting up an establishment. We'll set up other lines about restaurants and other types of things later. But today we wanted to take in some of the fun lines for live music and encourage people with a mind to set up things for live music, to do so in a way that's sustainable, and to allow them to set something up we can go and enjoy. Because we like live music clubs and the ability to get out and see live events, but do it in a good framework, a club that's set up for the middle demographic to have good lines in risk management, good lines of accessibility. When you start to do this, you're going to look at a city or a town where you are. The first thing you maybe want to do is understand what are your public codes, what are the venues. You want to understand the place where your local government has decided it's relevant. You can set up a place that's your big show, your music cafe, or your speakeasy. You want to make sure if you're going to have live music or loud music, that you're within relative place where you can do that. And then once you've done that, it's location, location, location. You want to get into a place. Think about foot traffic, think about lighting, think about visibility. Can the people driving by see it? How can people be aware of it? You want to build a buzz, because to get a business going, to get some interest, you need to have some traffic there, and it needs to be not the very young people or the very old people who are not very likely to go into your club. They could go, but they're not very likely to. You want to get that middle demographic of people working with money, people that want to get out, relax, have a good time within the boundaries of a reasonable good time. No excess. We don't support excess drinking or anything like that. We just want to say a responsible line. So in here you start to think about the business. You got to think about markets, supply and demand. We discussed those building codes. You want to make sure public codes are in line. Then you got to get into a building code, because maybe you're going to build this place, or maybe you're going to build out in the place. So in either way, you want to know the capacity of the building. You want to understand and have an architect engaged, an architect that can read public codes and standards, and in turn have those standards conform to what you have or any build out you make. That noted, you're going to need some space, and then we're going to talk about the layout. So we've already considered a place here, one of a number of type of venues. You want to consider the inside. We consider a model. Maybe you're going to run a bar plus a food place plus some dance and some live music. Within that venue, you have to think about the cost of drinks. You have to think about profitability of drinks. You have to think about the cost per plate of food, the cost of the chef, and the fact that when people come in and sit down to eat, they tend to potentially spend a little bit less, because they're going to be staying there. They're not going to eat 15 meals, they'll eat one meal. So if they're there for a 3-hour show, as an example, and they're in the table, you want to make sure it's priced sufficiently that you're making money. So something about the engineering of the cover charge, plus the plate cost, plus the bar cost has to all equal out, so that net you make a profit and return investment. Otherwise, you're not going to have a successful entertainment venue. It'll be a heartbreak experience, or it won't quite go as far as you want. You realize this is one of the most risky areas where you can set something up, because the fickle interests of the public. So as you set this up, we're also going to say, we want you to think realistically about what you set up. Try to set it up for the middle demographic of men and women with money that are out, they're spending, professionals, young professionals out to see things, have a good time. That's probably your most sustainable demographic, but you may have other people who are older that are out spending money, or in a place like New York for a long period of time, people like to go out, so it could have wide accessibility to a band of people. So just think about all that as you're setting it up. And now you've considered building codes and capacity. That's critical, because again, if you invite people to your place, they're spending money, they're helping your net wealth. Make sure you take care of them. Do the right things by the building code. Make sure you have security in place. Make sure it's well lighted. Encourage them not to drink and drive, and all that good responsible stuff that will help your business to do well on insurance lines, do well on socially responsible lines. Because if you fail to do that and you have a lot of bad reports about things that happen, well, people get hurt, and also it's bad reputation. Bad reputation hurts any business. So you want to make sure that you work on your brand, on your community lines, and adding some value. Because if you do that, you can build up a long-term sustainable business. You may even want to get to a point where you consider at certain times you're a nightclub, but you may also want to host some community events, because you never know if there's a point where you can help your community. Perhaps nonprofits are looking for a meeting place for select events. Good opportunity for you to get your name out there, get some more exposure. Perhaps some of those people might tell their friends and come to you if you set them up with some goodwill space for off or down days in business, and how they might come in and have small events or low-cost events. Okay, that's our plug for societal value. In here, you got to do the structuring. If you think about plates, you got to get cost per plate, drinks, cost per drink. net, you've got a cost of inventory and supplies. Now let's walk through some things that we're thinking about. This is, every time we do these whiteboards, I like to do it because it brings concepts together. It'll be the first time we talk about it sometime. This is now a couple of versions through it. We're getting a little bit tired, but what it does include is points about different relevant things that we would add into a business plan and draft out, map out. This more where we're dealing with your specifics, but it's a good line of avenues from which to pursue. So as we continue, you want to make sure that you've got, stage space, meal space, maybe, powder rooms, maybe you got a drink cafe off to the side where people can get away from the hubbub and have conversations, or, maybe a little balcony outside if you have that luxury where they can go outside, have a cigarette or whatever it might be. I'm not encouraging them to smoke, but sometimes people want fresh air at least, so let's just say they go take a breath of fresh air, and instead of smoking, they're going out for a reason for a fresh air, which is just as well. I didn't mean to recommend that, but it's a holdover of old nightclubs that you think about that. Okay, so it's a modern world. More and more nightclubs go out of business. Statistics are pretty bad, high volatility, high risk. So that's why I really recommend using demographics and every knowledge you can and cross-promotion to community events, which we'll get into now. These are modern times. It's a time you're going to need sales and booking, because if you've got live talent in there, you need to book in live talent. You need someone who can run with project management skills for calendaring and scheduling, or outsource that. You need some social media people who can get out there and communicate. You need some outreach, some artists, of course, because if you don't have artists coming in to play live music, you won't get very far. So how are you going to get pipeline of local talent? You got to think about that, and maybe every once in a while, as money stocks up, you can get a bigger act in, pay them some money, get something that you get excited about. And then you're down to the food codes, and if you're going to offer food, you need to make sure that the food inspection codes are all good and valid and map out. You have to make sure that you've got a good design and a good layout, so that's when the architects come in, the outside, the front, the signage you do for the building. When people come in, how did you do it? Is it nice wood floors, or is it some sustainable thing that looks good? You just got to think about how you want to design, because decor is a huge part of the experience. Wow, that's a lot to say. As is the menu planning, so you're going to need a chef for that. The mixologist for the bar to think about what are good drinks to have. How do you can do some surveys too. You start up your business, and you might want to send out some letters. We're thinking to open a club. What would you like? What would inspire you? There's a lot of different ways to think creatively about that. And then you get over here, you got to think about your meal space, your cost per table, cost per drink, your food and drinks, what you're going to have. You got to think about a cover charge. A cover charge is part of an algebraic equation, because someone's paying at the door, and the combination of pay at the door, pay at the bar, pay at the table, better cover the cost of the band, the DJ, or the comedian. You've got to find some way to structure that all out and to build in it that you can make profits. Now, realizing these types of business very liquid if the money comes in its cash basis, or you can do credit if you want less money in the business, but then you got to plan out. And you always have to meet your duties for accounting on taxes and compliance for these businesses, so make sure that as money is coming into your business, you're recording all the expenses, costs that go in, which offset revenues, and all the revenues to make sure you're in dutiful compliance with accounting, taxes, and financial needs. That's where we come in. We can help with technology. We can think about point of sale and how it maps to your accounting system for improvements. Perhaps a whole nother conversation about things that need to happen here. Last down on the line, we covered those couple of points. If you have staff, and you basically need staff and you need security, they need to be paid. You need to plan how you're going to structure that, how you're going to do that, and make sure you meet the duties to pay taxes and health benefits or whatever else is relevant. So then you're going to set up payroll and compliance lines. It's one of the points where we can help. And then you've got these other lines. We talked about social media, outreach. You've got to get a buzz going for your business. You got to get people out marketing, promoting, helping you to grow. And then at the end of it, you got a nice design and layout. So we rushed through a lot of things. It's about the location. It's about planning. These are many bullet points. They route to places where we can help with financials, with compliance skills, or teamwork. I'm Dean Carson. We'd like to help in your entertainment venture. I hope this is interesting. We'll